You know, we all know who he is and how we get down, so that don't surprise me.
Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witnessed violence.
Everything we thought we knew about Shakur's fate may have been smoke and mirrors. Was hip-hop's crown prince pushed into exile by his fiercest rival, Sean Diddy Combs? That's the rumor fueling late-night debates from Harlem rooftops to Havana cafes. Now, as Diddy's once untouchable empire buckles under federal raids and high-powered lawyers, whispers grow louder. Could Shakur be alive, hiding in the shadows, plotting a comeback that could flip hip-hop history upside down? The very hint has Diddy's legal team drenched in sweat, scrambling to patch leaks, terrified that the biggest secret in rap might explode in the open. Every headline, every live stream, every curious neighbor is chasing the same answer. Did Diddy bury his rival, or did the king of bad boy get hustled at his own game?
Law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
This isn't just recycling old rumors. It's painting a high-stakes chess match that kicked off in the 90s during the East Coast-West Coast wars and refuses to die. We're not talking whispers in barbershops. We're talking fresh fractures in a story the public's been spoon-fed for nearly 3 decades. The story goes like this. Shakur, at the peak of fame and paranoia, decided the streets were too hot, too many enemies, too many jealous eyes. And one name kept echoing in alleys from New York to LA, Diddy. The man suspected of masterminding the ultimate takedown. Now, with Diddy's legal empire wobbling under a crushing RICO case, the question flips. Did Shakur stage his own escape, leaving his biggest rival holding the bag? Because this isn't just Diddy's empire on trial, it's the very narrative we've believed since '96 that's ripping apart at the seams. Picture it, Diddy, once the king of bad boy records, now reduced to a defendant while his inner circle dodges reporters' eyes. The charges reach so far they make the East Coast-West Coast beef look like playground drama. Witnesses whisper about secret flights, payoff money, and an empire that used platinum records as camouflage. And just when his lawyers think they've steadied the ship, another rumor crashes harder than a surprise mixtape drop. Suddenly, the trial isn't just about parties and payoffs. It's about one chilling possibility. If Diddy thought he buried Shakur, maybe he only drove him underground. Maybe the whole thing was scripted, and the strings were being pulled by Shakur himself.
It essentially said that Sean Combs led a criminal enterprise for his desires, that he tried to cover up crimes, that he was the leader of this criminal enterprise, and that he committed at least 2 that they believe of these elements that are part of the racketeering.
Before diving too deep into secret plots and whispered revenge, we've got to lock eyes with the questions that have fueled the Shakur mystery for nearly 30 years. It all circles back to September 7th, 1996. 4 shots ring out on the Vegas Strip. Shakur, the man fans thought untouchable, rushed to the hospital. 6 days later, the world's told he's gone. That's the story. But scratch the surface and the pieces don't line up. The so-called autopsy photo, blurry, awkward, almost staged, never satisfied the faithful. To them, the face looked wrong, the skin tone off. Even the coroner's report raised eyebrows. Shakur listed at 6 feet tall, 215 pounds, when every fan knew he barely scraped 5 feet 10 and weighed under 170. Then there's the cremator, the man allegedly in charge of Shakur's final send-off, who retired the very next day, pockets full of cash, and vanished. At that point, it stops sounding like a clean tragedy and starts feeling like something ripped from an X-Files script. And millions of people still can't shake the thought. Maybe the story we were sold was never the real one.
I just get right on the side of his head and just start talking to him in his ear. Just talking to him.
The mystery doesn't stop at the autopsy table. Where was the bulletproof vest Shakur almost never went without? How did 14 bullets tear through that BMW, yet Suge Knight, sitting inches away, walked off with barely a graze? And on a night when Vegas was crawling with Tyson fans, how is it that not one tourist swore they saw the shooters flee? Then there's Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother, who once hinted her son had chosen to leave quietly. Quiet enough, some say, to slip onto a one-way flight to Havana. And that's where the story shifts from strange to cloak and dagger. Enter Michael Nice, a name woven into nearly every Shakur conspiracy. He claimed he was working with the Black Panthers, the very group tied to Tupac's family. According to him, the Panthers caught wind of a hit and refused to let their star protege be silenced. They called in favors, greased palms at the hospital, and executed the ultimate switch. His version: Tupac didn't die in that hospital bed. He was swapped with a stand-in. Nice insists he was there. It was me, my brother, the pilot, Tupac riding co-pilot, and 2 Panthers on the jet. We took off and knew instantly he was safe. The plane, he says, touched down first in Barbados before his brother ferried Tupac to Cuba. Waiting for him there? His aunt, Assata Shakur, the wanted activist and FBI fugitive who's lived under Castro's protection for decades.
If you look at it, they committed fraud. They committed bankruptcy fraud. I didn't lose my company by doing anything.
Michael Nice never lived long enough to drop the proof he swore would blow the case wide open. Days before his so-called evidence was set to surface, he turned up dead. Was it coincidence or someone tying up loose ends? Whatever the truth, his death didn't kill the conspiracy. It poured gasoline on it. Almost overnight, sightings of Shakur in Old Havana started popping up. Private eyes in Miami, YouTube sleuths with zoom lenses, even locals claiming they've bumped into a middle-aged Tupac. A few blurry photos made the rounds, one so bold it placed him shoulder to shoulder with Beyoncé. Believable, about as much as Bigfoot headlining Coachella. Still, the whispers wouldn't stop. Even Suge Knight added fuel to the fire. In a TMZ interview, he shrugged and said, "Why you think nobody's been arrested if they said they the one that did it to Shakur? 'Cause Shakur not gone. If he was, they'd be arresting those dudes. You know he's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar on an island." Classic Suge, half showman, half insider tease. But beneath the bravado, the questions sting. With all the confessions, supposed witnesses, and names dropped over the years, why do the LAPD files still sit unopened, collecting dust? Why does every suspect in the saga either end up dead, disappear, or clam up behind lawyers? How did the most infamous murder in rap history go colder than a Vegas winter?
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers described the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious trafficking charges in a New York court.
This is where the story swerves straight into Diddy's driveway. Once hailed as hip-hop's golden touch, he's now clawing to keep his empire from collapsing in court. From Manhattan to Miami, the man once called a visionary is now compared to the Jeffrey Epstein of rap. Forget the word mogul, Diddy has become the headline in a courtroom saga stacked with lawsuits, from wild party allegations to charges that sound ripped from a tabloid fever dream. His defense team, spinning like weather vanes in a hurricane, insists he may be guilty of excess, but not of running a criminal syndicate. Yet the FBI keeps raiding mansions, and every new witness in the RICO case strips another layer off his glittering empire. And then comes the twist no one saw coming. As Diddy's fortress crumbles, whispers rise that Tupac's supposed disappearance didn't just leave Diddy carrying the blame for Vegas. It may have set up the perfect revenge. Industry insiders claim mysterious sums have been bleeding from Diddy's businesses for years. Hidden royalties, phantom payouts, untraceable wire transfers. Where did all that money go? The theories are wild but relentless. That cash, they say, was fueling a ghost label, a secret operation in exile where Shakur could leak unreleased tracks, bankroll a movement, or quietly build the endgame he's been plotting from the shadows.
I think people had this misconception about Tupac and what he was. He had two sides to him, yes. I'm not going to say he didn't. He was, but at the same time, he just, whatever he believed in, that's what that was just he voiced his opinion for whatever it was that he believed in, but he also had this caring, loving side that a lot of people didn't see.
It almost feels scripted, like Destiny, the rapper who rapped as Machiavelli, who once wrote "Exit Shakur, enter Machiavelli," not only faking his own death, but orchestrating the stage for his rival's downfall. Could Shakur's ultimate revenge have been hiding in plain sight, waiting for the curtain to rise at the perfect moment? The tension now is razor sharp, thick enough to cut with a press badge. Each day in court pushes the drama deeper into the surreal. Diddy's legal team scrambles, the industry murmurs, and the question looms. Are we watching the final act of hip-hop's longest con, or the slow collapse of its most legendary myth?
How many people came through his orbit? How many people could this have happened to? And how did he get away with it for so long?
If this saga is even half true, if Shakur really slipped into hiding and Diddy got played in the boldest con hip-hop has ever seen, then the stakes for Diddy are catastrophic. This isn't just about lawsuits or a bruised reputation. It's about a legacy disintegrating under the weight of buried secrets. An empire not only under fire from prosecutors, but haunted by ghosts from the past. Those whispers about Diddy's so-called cleanup crew no longer sound like folklore. They read like strategy. Stories abound of insiders paid off to vanish or keep silent. A hospital worker who suddenly pocketed a year's salary in a single night. A coroner who disappeared out of state without leaving a trace. Paramedics whose memories blurred under stress and fatigue before conveniently jetting off on long overseas trips. Piece by piece, it plays less like coincidence and more like a script someone's been running since that night in Vegas.
He was responsible for Diddy's day-to-day life, so he is able to provide a lot of information about what that life was like. He goes into detail on extensive...
Michael Nice, the man who swore he helped smuggle Shakur out of the country, never lived long enough to deliver his promised proof. His sudden death hit just as he was preparing to go public, and it sent the conspiracy world into overdrive. Bad luck? Maybe. But the timing was uncanny enough to make anyone following the trail pause. Then come the whispers of bribes, thick stacks of cash passed to hospital staff, mortuary workers, maybe even cops. None of it ever confirmed, none of it stamped official, but the stories resurface again and again from people orbiting the bad boy universe. And just like clockwork, those voices always fade. The pattern repeats, witnesses get cold feet, relocate, or flat out refuse to talk.
Quite sure I am death row. Suge Knight is death row. So I'm quite sure, before it's said and done, all eyes on me and Machiavelli out of pocket of death yet to come.
If Diddy really had a cleanup crew, the question becomes, what else got buried? What evidence was burned before daylight ever touched it? And who out there is still carrying the weight of what they saw? Today, Diddy's legal troubles, racketeering charges, trafficking allegations, and enough freak-off party scandals to fuel a year's worth of tabloids suddenly feel less like reckless missteps and more like the unraveling of a machine built on silence. An empire stitched together with half-truths and hush money can't stay standing once every shadow is being lit up. The saga then twists inside a California prison where Suge Knight, forever cemented in the mythology of both Tupac and Diddy, sits serving time on other charges. Even behind bars, he finds ways to inject himself into the story. A documentary producer claims Suge hinted that Tupac told him of a plan to vanish. If true, it's dynamite. The West Coast kingpin may have been part of the deception all along, playing decoy while the real act unfolded off stage. Or was he kept out of the loop, just another pawn in someone else's script? In a rare soundbite to TMZ, Suge cryptically warned justice for Shakur is coming. Keffa D and now Diddy Many wrote it off as jailhouse theatre, but one fact remains: Suge has never revealed the full truth. Each time a new suspect or piece of evidence surfaces, he surfaces too, offering just enough commentary, just enough mystery to keep the myth alive.
Day 17 on the Diddy trial as the biggest one yet. Guess what? Bingo, you won, because today was probably the most eventful day as far as things that happened that were said on the stand, and most importantly, things that the judge said, because Diddy almost got kicked out of his...
Did Suge Knight knowingly help Shakur vanish? Or was he left stranded, holding the bag as hip-hop's greatest secret slipped away? If Suge ever breaks his silence, the story of that Vegas night could collapse completely. Because if he knew and played along, then this wasn't chaos. It was choreography. 3 men in a car, 14 bullets, a global manhunt, and a superstar who vanished. If the real truth surfaced, it wouldn't just shake the industry, it would rattle both coasts to their core. And now, as Diddy faces a legal onslaught that looks more like a mob takedown than a celebrity scandal, every unanswered question cuts deeper. Prosecutors toss around the words criminal enterprise. Witnesses whisper about blackmail, secret tapes, endless parties, and money vanishing as quickly as it appeared. Diddy's defense? The same tired refrain, reckless maybe, but no kingpin. Yet with every new lawsuit dragging him back into the spotlight, his old allies are peeling off. Ex-loyals suddenly appear on reality shows, dropping cryptic hints, teasing book deals, telling stories they can't share on camera. And the question lingers. Why does everyone closest to Diddy seem so terrified of what might be about to surface?
When I walked out of there, I went in the bathroom and I threw up. And just laid on the floor for like 30 minutes. His mama came in there.
And what about Tupac? If the whispers hold weight, he didn't just fake his death. He scripted the most ruthless comeback hip-hop has ever seen, a punchline still waiting to land. 3 former Bad Boy execs, speaking off the record, claim they've heard talk of a ghost label, receiving hidden tracks, maybe even full albums, funneled through coded names and shadow partnerships. If Pac is out there laying the foundation for a return, what would it look like? A viral drop on the anniversary of that Vegas shooting, a live stream from a Caribbean hideout, unleashing unreleased music and a tell-all about the night that changed everything. Or something even bigger, a coordinated reveal with his Panther allies built to expose the secrets buried since the 90s. The idea of Pac's return and the chaos it could spark haunts the industry. Would it unleash lawsuits, confessions, maybe even criminal charges? Would it validate every so-called conspiracy nut who's been chasing clues for decades? Would it scorch the reputations of power players who thought they were untouchable? As one LA radio host put it, if Pac steps out of the shadows, Diddy's finished, and the whole industry burns with him. No wonder artists from Eminem to Snoop keep nodding to the legend. It's the scar that never healed, the ghost story hip-hop refuses to bury.
Feds, Al Capone style, have not charged everything under the sun. They've charged 3 main charges: racketeering, trafficking, and the transport of a... And I'll tell you, I don't know about the racketeering charge. It's pretty sweeping, and I'll tell you what the general elements.
And if Diddy's empire finally crumbles, maybe this is the reckoning hip-hop has dodged for an entire generation. Maybe the fans, the bloggers, the street corner prophets were right the whole time. Maybe the biggest secret in music has been hiding in plain sight, just waiting for the perfect moment to flip the world upside down. With every new filing, every leaked document, every shaky denial from Diddy's lawyers, the pressure climbs. He sits in court wondering which ex-employee or old rival might flip next, while the rest of us wait for the hammer to drop. Officially, the trial is about trafficking, wild parties, and dirty money. But beneath it all, the shadow of Tupac looms. Always Tupac. So ask yourself, what if he's still out there? What if tomorrow your feed lights up with a video of Shakur dropping new music and calling names? How long can an empire built on secrets survive once those secrets hit the spotlight? Tell us in the comments, are we on the edge of the greatest comeback in hip-hop history, or just lost in a fever dream spun by a world addicted to drama? Either way, stay sharp, stay watching, trust no one,